Hey everyone, I'm Stacy. Today we're going to make this outdoor concrete planter box on wheels with a spout. Here's what you'll need for this project. A 3/4 inch thick melamine base, 3 feet by 2 feet, super ply underlay, impact and screws, silicone, wood glue, Quikrete concrete 5000, water, wire mesh, a spout, and not pictured here, a glue and a glue gun. To start, I'm going to build the outside box, the larger of the two, by attaching my sides made of super ply to the melamine base with screws. Next, I'm going to apply fast drying silicone to all seams of the box. I apply a bead with the gun and then smooth it out with my finger. For the upright seams of my sides, I'm going to use a bit of wood glue to keep them together. And then I'm going to reinforce them with screws to keep them in place. Next, I am building my inside box. I'm using scrap pieces of wood to secure to the sides of the box. One thing I would do differently here is I screwed in from the outside of the box to these scrap pieces of wood, making it really hard to remove the box once the concrete had cured. So I would screw in the future from the inside, basically through the scrap pieces to the outsides of the box, just to make it easier to disassemble in the end. I'm also using screws here to keep my edges where I want them, and again using silicone along all of the interior seams of this box to keep the concrete from leaking through while it's wet. And for good measure, I'm using my trusty glue gun along all the outside edges of this box, also to keep the water out. What I love about using the glue gun is it dries really fast and you can pretty much work with the concrete right away. So on exterior edges, I usually choose to use a glue gun. Now I'm going to measure and drill for my spout. I'm going to use a dowel that will go through both the interior and exterior boxes, after which I'll drill out the dowel once the concrete's cured, to then insert my spout into. So here I'm just measuring down from the top of the box. Now when I mark for my hole on the inside box, I simply use blocks inside to estimate the thickness of my concrete base, to be able to then measure appropriately for the dowel. I then drill the hole for the inside box and the dowel fits quite nicely through. Now it's time to add my concrete for the first pour, essentially the base of the box. As I said, I'm using Quikrete 5000 for this project. I smooth out the concrete and flatten it down, and then I'm making room for four about 3 inch by 3 inch wooden blocks in all the corners, to which I'll attach my wheels of the planter box to. And these should be right up against the melamine base. Then I'll add my wire mesh to increase the strength of this box. and then another inch of concrete or so. So my base of my concrete box is about 2 inches thick, and I've previously marked that on the inside of this box, so I know where to add the concrete level to. Then I flatten it out. And place my inside box in, and I just check the measurements on all 4 sides to make sure that the box is where I want to be. And now I'm just adding the remainder of the concrete all along the edges. This was a little trickier to do just because I'm working with a 2-inch wall thickness, so it's got nice and dirty and some concrete everywhere. And then I use a wooden block to just to flatten it all out and make sure it's level. I added some screws here just to keep the thickness where I wanted it, and then vibrated out the concrete with a orbital sander. Let the concrete cure for at least 2 to 3 days. For this project I actually waited a full week just because of the size of it. And disassembly was a bit of a task, but with a chisel and a hammer and skill set, as you can see there, I did end up removing the inside box. As I said, I would screw the screws in the opposite way going forward next time. Then I'm removing my base here before screwing in my wheels with wooden screws to those 3-inch square blocks. Now each of these wheels holds about 90 pounds, so it's more than strong enough to hold this planter box. I estimate this box to be at close to 100 pounds, somewhere between 80 and 100. And then I'm just sawing out the wooden dowel and then screwing it out for my spout, and there's the finished product. Thank you for watching DIY with Stacy. This has been produced by myself and music by Josh Woodward. If you enjoyed this and DIYing with me, please show me some love and subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.